She told me she would understand if I cannot forgive her of this act, as she is fully aware how wrong of her that was. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Our Zone Stories. Today we have a story where this woman tried to make her boyfriend believe that the child is his, but she failed. Let's see how this story ended. I, 25-year-old male, got cheated on by my 22-year-old girlfriend with her ex-boyfriend, and she made me believe the baby she was carrying was mine. There's a lot of events that preceded the said event of me being made to believe I was going to be a father. I met this girl about a year and 6 months ago. She was a nice girl, at least I thought, and she was very pretty too. Our relationship was smooth sailing in the beginning, although we had issues here and there like any other couple. She was staying about 30 to 40 minutes from my place. I am already a young professional who has already finished school and kick-starting the career. She was in the course of completing her studies in a local university in the same town, so this meant she was staying at a student residence, as they call it. You will remember how that setting is during our college life, when students would do all sorts of nasty things to each other when they are all under the same roof. I did not have a problem with this, as she would visit me regularly, almost every week most of the time. Things took a turn of the worst when the visits started becoming less frequent, and she would always claim she is busy, or whatever silly excuse she had at the time. I didn't want to be selfish and want to have her all to myself with the little time she has to herself, considering she was a student, and most of her time outside of school she would spend with me. That was my mistake. The visits became less frequent, and this bothered me as time went by, because I had suspicions she was starting to spend time with somebody else. However, I didn't think too much into it, as I thought, oh no, she is an innocent girl, and would never for whatever reason do such a thing to me given how good our relationship was. Wrong. I later discovered that she had been secretly meeting up with one of the ex-boyfriends who goes to the same college as her. How I found out would need me to write another Reddit story. I confronted her about it, and she had no choice but to admit it, as I presented her with an overwhelming amount of evidence proving the fact. At this point, I also found out they have slept together, and I just wanted to know why. Why did she betray my trust like that, and what led her to the said incident, as I have been nothing but good to her. She insisted she was in a bad space and needed someone to talk to, and one thing led to the other, and she was sorry. She told me she would understand if I cannot forgive her of this act, as she is fully aware how wrong of her that was, and she would understand if I want nothing to do with her. I should have listened. I should have listened to her then, because what is about to follow is a series of events that led to her making me believe the child she was carrying was mine. We talked things out and she apologized, and I had fully forgiven her for this, as she was sincere and sorry about what she did. Fast forward to 3 months later, we find out she is pregnant. Surprise! At this time she had told me that she had cut all communication with her ex-boyfriend, and they weren't in contact in any way. I later discovered that she told him about the pregnancy, however, did not tell him that she was actually in a relationship, and there is a potential father of this child, as she already knew what she had done. I confronted her about this, and she confessed that she contacted him, yes, but her reasons were that she wanted him to back off so that she can continue living her life with me, who is the father of her child and partner. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I will now fast forward to when the baby was born, and I went to visit them soon, weeks after she went to labor. I spent time with them and everything was nice. We were happy that we were having a baby, and I was super excited of the idea that I am now a father. There were conversations preceding her going into labor between us pertaining the paternity of the baby, and I explicitly asked her, is there by any chance I am not the father of this baby? She reassured me that I am the father, and I should not be worried about me not fathering the child. Also, I was not about to question a heavily pregnant woman about the paternity of what could potentially be our baby. That made me feel horrible, and I stopped questioning her about this. Coming back to when the baby was born, 2 months after the baby was born, I later discovered that she had again rekindled her relationship with the said ex-boyfriend, and she was bringing the child for him to see behind my back. Mind you, this guy does not know that there is already an existing father of this baby. At this point, I catch her out in the act and her whole lie is unrevealed. We fight over this, and I request a DNA test done so we can finish this and rule out any uncertainty. We continue to be a couple and raise the baby together. However, I told her it was only fair for the other alleged father to also contribute towards the maintenance of the child until all facts are on the table, as I had been the one supporting them throughout her pregnancy and postpartum. This happens for a period of about 2 months before the DNA test is done. Early this year, the results came out saying I am not the father of this child. I am distraught, to say the least. I am disappointed in myself and for putting so much trust in one person who did nothing but break it and my heart into pieces. I have since kicked them out of my place with her child and told them they can go live their happy lives with their newly found family. To be honest, this hurts me so much. I don't go a day without thinking about them. I have already formed a solid bond with what was to be my child, not to mention my said ex-girlfriend. All the life I knew and was preparing myself for is all gone now. When the pain and hurt pass, you will find that she did him so many favors by waking you up to reality. She taught him that he can never blindly trust any human. Every human is capable of horrible things. She taught him that today the majority of women have 2+ guys on the back burner as side pieces just waiting for him to slack even a bit. She taught him that he needs to stop with the passive way he enforces comfort boundaries with everyone in life. Have to trust but verify and be firm with his boundaries in every relationship. He will be better suited to face the harsh realities of life now. Seriously, what's wrong with you? You understand that this person does not love you at all, right? Are you very stupid or just ignorantly blind? She doesn't respect you and she knew the baby wasn't yours. She just wanted to use you as long as she could and hoped that you would think there was some kind of bond between you and the baby. You are the only one causing yourself pain. You aren't seeing this logically and you aren't seeing her for who and what she is and what she did. Stop playing bland and dumb and open your eyes. The child wasn't yours, period. She tried to pass it off as yours because you were the safest choice. The other guy obviously is a prick who didn't want responsibility. The quickest way to get over is to change your perspective. Start seeing the bigger picture. You avoided marrying and being trapped to someone who doesn't respect, care about, or love you. Do better with your life and don't ignore red flags. Also learn how to let someone go when they cheat on you. Someone cheating means they have no respect for you and never will, especially if you don't respect yourself enough to leave. I found out my wife has been sleeping with a colleague of hers for a while now, and I've decided I'm going to do nothing about it. To fill in some background for my decision, my wife and I have 2 children, a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old baby. I adore them. Every day when I come back from work, my 3-year-old gives me a huge smile and shouts in happiness. It's the best part of my day when I return from work. My wife also works, so we both make efforts to spend time with them whenever we can, which did lead to some issues and arguments. We went to counseling and discovered better methods, and I really thought we were doing well. I even managed to get some of my hours shortened to spend more time with them. It turns out we weren't. I noticed a pair of shoes and a jacket I've never seen before. I asked her about it and she brushed it off that it could have been the babysitter's, and that she will return them. 2 days after, I got home early to surprise my wife and go to the park with the kids, and noticed my wife and her colleague. I've seen him before at her work, caressing outside the house, and he was wearing the same attire I saw. This pretty much confirmed it, and I ended up staying at a hotel for 2 days to cool off from the shock and dread of it all, and told my wife it was an urgent business trip. Now, I decided I'm going to do nothing for 2 reasons, and they are pretty much connected. I came from a family that was plagued with infidelity and broken into shreds. My father cheated on my mother when I was in high school, and it was the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. I watched 2 people I loved and knew so well fall into depression. My father became an alcoholic and disappeared from our lives 4 months after, and I have no idea where he is to this day. My mother became emotionally traumatized, and during her last couple of months she did begin to improve until she passed away from COVID. In high school, I spiraled and fell into heavy depression. Before college, my wife, who was my GF at the time, helped me get clean, and she knows about all this, which makes it all the more painful. The point is, the family I grew up with, made memories with, and spent all this time with was shattered because my dad cheated. I would have loved that they would grow old together and I'd let them play with their grandchildren. Is gone because of infidelity. The second is connected, because I don't want my children to see a split. I know it won't end pretty even if I wanted it to. They are so happy, and despite her being unfaithful, she is a good mother to them. They adore us together, and I don't want to rob them of a family and all the messed up stuff that comes up with divorce and infidelity. And honestly, there's a third. I'm terrified of being alone as well. I have no one. All family gone. She would be gone. We could get shared custody, but it still makes it all the more terrifying. And maybe I could confront her and work it out, but I just know she will break and it will never be the same as how things are now. So it's been a week and a half. I just put my children to sleep a bit ago and my wife is already in bed as I'm typing this, and I've already decided she will never know I know. Unless she tells me, then I'll need to decide what to do if that happens. I will stop this if it starts affecting the children in any way as well. But to answer some of the questions, yes, I am in complete pain. I am trying my best not to hate her, but it's hard. I don't think I can sleep beside this person without my eyes darting around the room for 2 hours from thinking before I sleep from intense dizziness. But I'm going to do it, and maybe it'll hurt less as time goes on. And yes, my therapist already knows. And yes, they are very against the idea, but I told them to try to work with it. I'm doing this for my children's future, for my own as well. He needs serious help. He is destroying himself. He has to confront her and ask for a divorce. His kids will be fine with therapy, so don't make excuses. And this will be the most difficult part. But he must take a paternity test, especially on his youngest son, just to be sure, and also take a STD test. He should do the right thing for himself and leave that woman. Take paternity tests. Seek to improve himself and be happy. Because at this rate he is only going to suffer more and more. My fiancé and I have been together for 7.5 years, and I have found several instances of infidelity with 4 different men. The most recent and worst case of infidelity was early 2020. The worst part is that this physical or emotional affair was with a tattoo artist, and she has a large ribcage tattoo from before we dated. So now every time I see this tattoo, it is a huge trigger for me. It's strange, but I feel as though it's almost as if he branded her like a piece of property. I should also note that my fiancé has borderline personality disorder, which I guess in some weird way made me feel some sort of sympathy, even though it is not an excuse. People with borderline personality disorder are known to have absolutely awful impulse control and rage spells, which makes me even more nervous for the future because it's almost as if she can't help herself. She is now 2 sessions into therapy for basically her mood swings, outrage, and depression, but I highly doubt it will help with her impulsivity and how it relates here. And even if it did, it still doesn't change the past of what happened. I have tried to move past these affairs, but after going on 3 years later, the trust is gone, and I constantly feel like a police investigator, trying to quickly scroll through her phone when she leaves the room to find more proof, checking her deleted photos, overthinking things every time she leaves the house, and just living in fear that this will inevitably happen again due to the frequency of how this has happened before. Every time I try and discuss the affairs with her because of my concerns, she breaks down emotionally and says something along the lines of, "It's either you forgive me or you don't," basically giving an ultimatum that she is past the point of discussing any further. She also says things like, "I have paid for my mistakes over and over again," which made me angry, as if we don't pay for our partner's infidelity every single day. I don't think she knows the depth of her betrayal. Now, just last week I found out that she has been Facebook searching one of her old friends with benefits flings from years before we dated, not her partner. I should also mention that all previous partners were men that she had some sort of history with, exes, friends, etc. That being said, this instance of her Facebook searching this friend is obviously driving my anxiety through the roof. I know it probably isn't that big of a deal to some, but it is to me given the fact that I laid down boundaries that she is not to search or be Facebook friends with any exes or such. I feel like this crosses that line in the sand given her history. I feel like I can't ever trust her again, and it seems as though this shady type of activity will never stop, always causing me to worry and to be paranoid. I feel so defeated and drained. Everything feels forced now. I barely want to hug her anymore. Hugs feel empty and bedroom activity feels extremely distant. It just feels like I am trying to piece everything back together and act like it was never broken. How would you guys react if this happened to you? Am I making a bigger deal out of this instance than it really is? The odds of her someday getting the help and medication she needs and sticking to it are extremely low. The odds of her putting in minimal effort to keep him strung along until she has another severe relapse are very high. He needs to make plans to move on. Either sell the house or find the surest legal way to get her out. realizing she could well show up in terrible shape at any moment, expecting him to rescue her just like he always does.